You're watching Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV. And now, here's two guys who both saw the shadow of station manager Patrick Watt on Groundhog Day, meaning they can stay on the air for 6 more weeks. Evan and Joe.
I'm Joe Ticotsky down in frigid New Haven, Connecticut.
I'm Evan McFarlane here in New Brunswick, and it is not much warmer.
You're watching episode 92 of Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV. And as we tape this opening, it's actually Groundhog Day. And since Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, that can mean only one thing. 6 more weeks of storm chips. Yes. Folks at Covered Bridge, our sponsor, were kind enough to send out another shipment of various chips, and I may as well have some for breakfast. All right, blab on for a second about your prediction you made correctly about the Patriots making the upcoming Super Bowl. We're taping this early February.
I mean, I can't take a bunch of credit for this, Joe. I'm a Leafs fan, and I say they're going to win every year, so I just keep throwing stuff and hoping something sticks. But, yeah, you know, it was a long few years for us Pats fans. It was a struggle to go through that rebuild, and
I feel really bad for you.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm Giants fan and Knicks. We haven't had many bad years, but
yeah, you got to feel bad for those kids in like kindergarten and grade 1 that are Pats fans who haven't seen them win a Super Bowl.
win for the 6-year-olds.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens this week. I'm excited. How are those chips?
They're so good at like 8:45 a.m.
Oh, they're the best. And I don't know, 6-week supply for me, it would be more space than I have.
All right, we are short on time, but let the record show your prediction. Hopefully it was a good Super Bowl. Well, coming up after the break, we add another sport to the list that we have covered in our 6+ years, table tennis.
Hey.
Not say ping pong. You're watching Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV, sponsored by Covered Bridge Chips. Welcome back to Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV. In late 19th century England, table tennis made its first appearance. Based on lawn tennis, early games were played using a champagne cork as a ball, cigar boxes as paddles, and books for the net. In 1890, Englishman David Foster introduced the first game of tennis on a table, and in 1897, the first national championships were held in Hungary. Following a trip to the United States in 1901, James Gibb brought back the first celluloid ball, which was much lighter. And then 1 year later, E.C. Gould, a British fan of the game, introduced the first paddles covered in rubber and those little things officially known as rubberized pimples. Closer to home, the New Brunswick Table Tennis Association is alive and well. And to tell us more about the sport that everyone has played at some point in their lives, let's bring in Ingrid McPhee, Vice President of Finance for the NBTTA. Ingrid, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How many members are currently in the organization, and what age ranges does that cover?
So currently we have roughly about 100 active players around the province. Our youngest player is as young as 8 years old, and we have players who are into their 70s. It's an equal split between youth and adults, and probably 70-30 between competitive and recreational players.
Okay. Now, do you offer clinics and tournaments?
Yeah, the MBTTA hosts anywhere between 4 and 6 tournaments yearly. We also host provincial championships, every 4 years Atlantic championships. And this year, Moncton was awarded the 2027 national championships. So this is big, huge for New Brunswick. Coaching, each club offers weekly coaching. And for the first time, we've started a high performance elite coaching program for our under 19 players.
Nice.
Cool.
Ev,
But yeah, that kind of leads into my question. Do your higher players typically practice on their own, or is playing in a game the best way to improve?
Yeah, both, Evan. They probably play daily because they're really into it, and they will practice on average their skills, their craft, about 2 hours a day, and then they'll play games, and then they'll also attend tournaments, and all of that combined is what gets them to the next level of play.
Okay, cool. And just a follow up to that, but you mentioned there's coaches. Is there a main facility where tables are available to practice on?
We've got four clubs around the province right now: Moncton, St. John, Fredericton, and Bathurst. Moncton's the biggest one. I'll give you an example. There's 14 tables available at the club, at the Moncton Club.
So now when you practice on your own, is it the old, like you fold up half the table and use it as a wall if it's just you?
Competitive players tend to use like robots. We have robots that they can play against. It's kind of like what you can put like 100 to 150 balls in these robots. You can change the spin, the speed, the location where the ball's going to land on the other side, and the robot just spits out balls. So that's how they tend to practice by themselves. But usually the best method of practicing is with two players.
Okay. Now, in the past, say, decade or so, have you seen the sport's popularity in the area grow? And which parts of the province and country is it most popular?
We would say in the last 10 years, we've seen growth, mainly due to immigration, social media, lots of exposure, success in tournaments, word of mouth. Moncton is the most popular spot in New Brunswick. And the Atlantic provinces, it would be Moncton and Halifax. And in Canada, all provinces have a provincial table tennis association, and then the greater amount of players are out of Ontario and Quebec.
Okay. Ev.
So who would currently be the top players in the various age groups in New Brunswick? See if I know anybody.
Okay, you might. Oliver Woodworth, he's 14 years old. He's actually our top men's player and under 19 player. Last year, he was on the under 13 national team as well. His brother Harrison is next in line in the under 19. Michelle Ishii is next in line in the men's division. On the female side, we have Joanna Raj, and she is our top player in the women's division and under 15. And then Isha Prakash, under 15, is the next in line. I myself still play competitively, and I practice. So once in a while, I give them a good run for their money.
Nice.
Now, expanding on that, which parts of the world currently have the best players?
So for a long time, it was China and Japan. But with the sport growing worldwide, Brazil and France and Sweden have knocked some of the top players off in world competitions recently. But without a doubt, the Asian countries still have the highest concentration of players worldwide.
Okay. Now, is table tennis a sport in the Winter or Summer Olympics?
Table tennis what I find interesting is table tennis became a sport in the Summer Olympics, but yet in Canada, it's always been part of the Canada Winter Games.
Okay. Ev.
Ruling question, I guess, because most of the ping pong or table tennis stuff that I see is...
we got to about the 5-minute mark, Ev, before one of us said ping pong.
I know.
So you lost that one.
I'm impressed. Good job, because it is table tennis, the official sport name. Yeah.
My bad.
Go on.
I was going to say the reason why I'm asking this question is because most of my table tennis experience comes with maybe some beer cans on the end of the table. But for viewers who don't know the rules or may have forgotten them, what are the game scoring rules? And do these vary from tournament to tournament, or are they kind of standardized across the board?
Yeah, sure. So a match is made out of games. You have to win a match. And a typical match can be either you have to win 2 out of 3, usually 3 out of 5, sometimes 4 out of 7. A game is won by a player when the first player reaches 11 points. However, if the game reaches tie 10-10, then the players must continue playing until one player wins by 2 points. The rules don't change from tournament to tournament. Those are governed by the International Table Tennis Federation. We must all follow those. However, the style of tournament may change. You may have a round robin or a knockout or marathon style.
Okay.
But the rules, we must all follow the International Table Tennis Federation rules.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the neat thing, which we all realize about the game, is it is a sport that everyone has played at some point, which you can't say for every sport. You could certainly play it your whole life. How about the strategy part of it? I know, like, when we all in our amateur days, you would try your little spin move and different things like that. Now, in singles, how much strategy, like as you get to a high level, is there?
There's a lot of strategy. A lot of thought is put into your third ball, fifth ball played, starting with the serve being considered the first ball. And those are the drills that top level players practice. And it all starts with what type of serve are you going to serve? What kind of spin? Are you going to do side spin, top spin, underspin, combination? Where are you going to land this ball on the other side of the table? Where do you expect the ball to return? Depending where you expect the ball to return, then you have to have multiple options on how you are going to return your third ball. The strategy can be, I really want to end this rally after 5 or 6 back and forth volleys. So how do I finish the point? There's a lot of thought process going into it.
Okay. Now, last thing, I know when you're not in the sport, you don't really know the inner workings in terms of, I don't want to say injuries, but wear and tear. Is it more arm and shoulder where the injuries come in, or wrist?
I would, tennis, elbows, same thing in table tennis. I would say the elbows, the knees, because there's a lot of jumping up and down, moving back and forth. Not so much wrist, because you tend to mainly use your entire arm. So to add what you said, Joe, shoulders, elbows, knees.
Okay.
That would be your three main places. Yeah.
One last quirky question, because one of my friends, shout out Ken Rosello, was a lefty. Are there many lefties at the higher levels?
There are lefties. It's definitely a lower percentage, and it is an advantage to be a left-hander. And perfect doubles combination is a left-handed and a right-handed player playing together, because then generally your forehand tends to be your strongest skill. So if you have a left-handed and a right-handed playing together on a doubles match, you're playing 80 or 90% of the time on your forehand.
Excellent.
So you guys got to get practicing, Joe. You might end up going to doubles in Moncton now.
We got to have like a CHCO house tournament or something like that. Me and Vicky will be mixed doubles or something. But
Flo and I will smoke you guys.
There you go.
If you're ever in Moncton, for sure, you should come and visit the clubs.
Absolutely.
Come out and play.
Will do. Well, she is the VP of Finance for the New Brunswick Table Tennis Association. And to find out more, you can go to nbtta.com. Ingrid, thanks so much for enlightening us, informing us, and for coming on the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me. You're very welcome. It was a pleasure.
We'll be back after a short break with our second go-around of that new segment called 299 Seconds. You're watching Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV in St. Andrews. Welcome back to Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV. Well, the people have spoken, and we've been renewed for a second edition of our new segment called 299 Seconds. As you can see on the left side of the screen, we have a spiffy new logo where you can see the Canadian flags, along with an ode to my beloved New Haven pizza. And we'd like to thank Doug and the boys at W4C for cooking up that logo. This month's guest on 299 Seconds is the man behind the voice you hear on the openings of each episode of Mc&T Sports Report, Mark Aznavourian of Los Angeles. I've known Mark for over 45 years now, when we met as freshmen at the University of Connecticut
and became roommates 1 year later. And though we don't see each other very often, his openings over the past few years on our show have served as a great way to keep the friendship going strong. Mark is the owner of Pulp Pours, a company that makes fresh smoothies on site at events all over the West Coast. And he's also co-host of the Cinemondo Podcast and YouTube channel, which talks about films from all over the world. And related to that, Mark also dabbles in screenwriting and has produced some short films, including Breathe and most recently, Watching Walter. And as he would most likely say in our show's openings, and now, here's a guy with New England roots and a West Coast tan, Mark Aznavourian. Mark, thanks for coming on the show, and as always, for doing our show openings each month.
Oh, thanks, Joe. It's a pleasure to do it and an honor. I love the show. I watch it every week, and so I'm glad you're doing it, and it's nice to be a part of it for sure.
I may as well go ahead and make us jealous back east. What will today's high temperature be in Los Angeles?
It's chilly today. It might hit 70, low of 45.
Okay, I got my little app here for converting to Celsius. They'll figure it out on their own. I had mentioned we were roommates at UConn for 3 years, but didn't mention how dorky we both were back in the early 80s, huh?
There's a photo of our freshman year dorm, and I don't know, part of it is dorky and part of it is like, a criminal hideout. I mean, it's like, look at these are college guys. I mean, 66 guys, and maybe 2 or 3 look like actual college students. And then they're like, the rest of us are kind of just like, what are these guys? And you and I are these sort of innocent 18-year-olds who are just like, thrust into this world. Can you even remember Animal House came out the year before? So it definitely had that Delta House vibe for sure.
Oh, man. All right, you ready to give a go to 299 seconds?
Let's do it.
Let's start the stopwatch and see how you do.
Okay.
First question. Favorite sister, Karen or Christine? Just kidding. I wouldn't go there. I mentioned you own Pulp Pours, which makes great smoothies. Which one is your favorite?
I like the tropical ones, even though I probably shouldn't have those as much as I should. I like mango, pineapple, banana, and that's probably our most popular. And so, yeah, that one is just delicious. Makes you think like you're in Maui somewhere on the beach. And
I looked at the menu. And I will go with Dunes of the Cape, banana, pineapple, and coconut. Does that name an ode to one of the corniest songs of all time, Escape?
Of course it is. A lot of our titles come from song titles or, some sort of music background. And that one was definitely from Rupert Holmes' classic, Escape, the Pina Colada song. Making love, all Dunes of the Cape,
Favorite chowder, New England, Rhode Island, or Manhattan?
Do I have to answer that? I mean, like, do you not know the answer to that question, Joe?
See, I like Rhode Island chowder.
My dad was from Rhode Island, and he was partial to that. My mom was from Queens, so she was partial to Manhattan. So I sort of went in the middle and went with New England. Although it can be really creamy and sort of heavy, I think it's very sort of comfort food for me. So I would go with New England.
It is. I think Evan would have chosen the somewhat unknown Moncton chowder, which I believe consists of day-old herring and skim milk, something like that. All right. Among other places, you've lived in Boston, Philly, New York City, and now L.A. Quickly rank them 1 through 4.
Hartford doesn't count?
It does not.
Okay. I would say Boston was number 1, L.A., Philly, New York.
Okay. All right. Now,
and New York is incredible, but I was making no money back then. So when you live in New York, you don't have a lot of money. You sort of watch everybody else having fun, and you sit at a park bench. So that's
good point.
Yeah.
Now this may be connected with that question. I had my car stolen 3 years ago on New Year's Eve, actually. But you put me to shame. How many times has your car been stolen?
I've had 6 cars stolen in my life, and all of them, and this belies your question of a couple of questions ago, all of them happened in Boston in the 90s. There was a rash of cars being stolen where I lived in Boston. And one time my mom gave me her car, which had 17,000 miles on it, a Nissan 200S, a really nice, pretty car. It lasted for like a week and a half. And I ended up in Rhode Island, all the parts were taken off and everything. It was really kind of tragic, but 6 cars.
Jeez.
I know.
First 45 record or album that you ever purchased?
Well, the first 45 I ever got was purchased by my mom when I was 4. I know that one. It was All My Loving by the Beatles.
Okay.
And the one that I bought, because I had a Sears in walking distance, so I would go there, and 59 cents got me the 45s I wanted. For some reason, in 1972, I got an Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I can't remember the song, but it was just such a random weird thing. ELP 1972 on Cotillion Records. I remember that.
Wow, that pales in comparison to, I probably told you this, my first 2 purchases purchased at Caldor's for 67 cents. I Am Woman by Helen Reddy and Me and Mrs. Jones by Billy Paul. What a great combo.
It was either Me and Mrs. Jones or the other one, and Me and You and a Dog Named Boo by Lobo. I thought that was also, it was one of those 2. I kind of faintly remember you mentioning that.
Favorite old TV show?
Oh, gosh. That's a tough one. I mean, if you're talking comedy, I love All in the Family. I can still watch All in the Family and laugh. I loved, if you're going farther back, Leave It to Beaver and Mr. Ed were always classics for me. Twilight Zone, if you're going to go into sort of more drama, would be my favorite.
Okay. As I mentioned on our first 299 seconds, I went with Mr. Ed.
Yeah, I know.
The one where he slides in the home plate at Dodger Stadium was just epic.
Leo DeRocher, Don Drysdale. I mean, the real Dodgers. I think even Sandy Koufax might be in that one.
Most famous person you've ever met while living in New York?
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to, have you mentioned yours?
I'll wait.
I would say the late In Excess lead man, Michael Hutchins. I saw him at a bodega. I just got up and was going for coffee and something like 6:30 in the morning. And he was just coming back, I think, from a night out. And his girlfriend, I think her name was Helena Christensen, or was with him. So that was a kind of a big power couple back, in the early 90s. And that was kind of interesting.
Since you've been in LA?
I've seen a lot of people walking around. The latest one was Bill Hader just walking down Sunset Boulevard. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. And there's just like random sightings. Sometimes I do my smoothie cart on sets. So various actors that we're all familiar with, I've seen, come up for smoothies and stuff. So that's kind of fun. Like Linda Cardellini from, which I have a campus crush on, from Freaks and Geeks, has come up a couple of times and said hi. So anyway.
Another day in LA. When I was out in California, I'm going to try to pop the picture up, but I almost got run over by Paul McCartney on a bicycle with my throwaway camera, and man, oh man.
It's hard to top that one, Joe.
Well, it looks like our time is just about up, so I'd like to thank one of my very good friends, Mark Aznavourian, for coming on 299 seconds and sharing some witty repartee with our audience. You can go to pulppours.com to find out more about Mark's business. You can also go to Cinemondo Podcast.com to find out more about Mark's passion for film. Mark, this was awesome. Thanks so much for coming on 299 seconds.
Joe, it was my pleasure. Talk to you soon, man.
And we're back. And Joe, I know what I was like in university. Do I even want to know what kind of trouble you guys got into?
Yeah, I didn't even turn 18 until November of my freshman year, so no trouble for me or Mark, at least.
Sure.
At least our first year. All right. Well, that is it for a frigid episode 92. I am Joe down in New Haven, Connecticut.
And I'm Evan here in New Brunswick.
Thanks to Patrick Watt and Florence Mitchell for producing and editing a show that will be the Valentine's Day evening choice of entertainment for couples all throughout Charlotte County.
Absolutely.
You're watching Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV in St. Andrews.